If you aren't stressed out right now, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe you aren't a Red Sox fan. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. It was a bit of a brutal weekend for the Boston Red Sox. They did manage to salvage this series against the New York Yankees, but ultimately they still lost 2 out of 3 games, officially putting them at 82-68 on the season. Good news here is it's their first truly winning season since 2021 now officially. The sort of not great news is it's good for the second wild card spot, 1.5 games back of the New York Yankees, just a game above the Houston Astros for that third wild card spot, and 3 games above both the Texas Rangers and the Cleveland Guardians to be out of the playoffs in general. And yeah, I think there are a couple of ways to look at this thing. I think at this point in the season, I'm kind of putting the whole division conversation aside, right? It's kind of a moot point at this point. I'm not paying attention to the Red Sox competing for a division title anymore. I think we had that conversation, about a month ago? Things are a whole lot different now. I also think we got to put the conversation of whether or not they're going to win the wild card or top wild card spots to the side right now too, right? I think ultimately right now, with 12 games left in the year, we got to sit here and we got to talk about the Red Sox just simply getting into the playoffs in general. It doesn't really matter what spot they're in, just simply making the postseason. And for that, we have a couple of questions we got to answer. One, did this game or did salvaging this series actually save the Red Sox season? And 2, could they still miss the postseason? So let's start by answering that first question, right? Did this game save the Red Sox season? I think quietly the answer might be yes. And I know that's crazy to say because it's just one game, but you look at the situation the Red Sox were heading into yesterday, and it was a really, really big must-win game for the Sox. Not only would they have lost all 3 games against the New York Yankees, putting themselves 3.5 games back of the Yankees for that first wild card spot, which is a monumental gap here that the Red Sox would have to make up for in these final 12 games of the season. But you're also talking about the playoffs in general, right? Seattle Mariners have won 9 games in a row. They're just skyrocketing up, which means you're fighting against the Houston Astros for that second wild card spot right now. The Astros lost last night. You were able to win. You created some separation between you two, and any separation right now is a good thing. The second thing that this was able to do was it was able to stave off Texas Rangers for just a little bit. The Rangers have been unbelievably hot lately as well, but they lost last night. If the Red Sox had lost as well, you're probably looking at not only being tied or below the Houston Astros for that final wild card spot, but also potentially a game and a half above the Texas Rangers. Now, because you won that game and the Texas Rangers lost last night, you're 3 games above them. So let's take the Houston Astros, let's take the New York Yankees, let's put them out of the picture, right? Right now, we're just talking about the Red Sox making the playoffs, which means you're focusing on the Texas Rangers and the Cleveland Guardians, who are both, I think the Guardians are 3.5, Texas Rangers are 3 games behind you. This is big, right? Because you only have 12 games left in the year, and the Red Sox, for as bad as they have been playing lately, and for as up and down as they've been playing lately, have been playing 500 ball in September. And ultimately, I know that sounds crazy, that could end up being a good thing, right? If they could just maintain where they are right now, it could potentially hurt the Texas Rangers, because what they would have to do is they would have to go 4 games over 500 the rest of the way. So last night's win did a lot. They had lost that game, not only would momentum have been just terrible, vibes would have been terrible, but you also put yourself in a much better position to, at the bare minimum, limp into a postseason. And that's a really, really good thing. But we also have to have the conversation about these last 12 games and whether or not the Red Sox can even do it. Can they ultimately achieve that goal of getting to the postseason? But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. September is officially here, ladies and gentlemen, which means only good things if you're a sports fan. Not only are baseball playoffs right around the corner, but we're also celebrating the start of a new football season, which is why for the entire month of September, we are partnering with the DraftKings Sportsbook, because right now on DraftKings, new users bet $5 and instantly get $200 in bonus bets and $200 off YouTube Sunday NFL ticket. Sign up using DraftKings.com/RedSeat or through my promo code RedSeat to take advantage of this offer. With DraftKings' very user-friendly app, you can take your Sundays to the next level. Thank you very much to DraftKings for sponsoring this episode. Make sure to use code RedSeat. Please don't forget to gamble responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's get back to the video. Because just because the Red Sox saved their butts last night, just because there aren't a ton of games left in the season, so every win for the Red Sox is much more monumental than every loss right now, doesn't mean we could be sitting here relaxing. In fact, there are quite a few things that are stressing me out as a Red Sox fan right now. And to be honest with you, I'm not focused on the Yankees, who have a cupcake schedule left, or the Astros/Mariners, whoever ends up being the winner over there. The only thing I'm focused on right now is the Red Sox and the postseason, right? And we've talked about this a couple times in this video so far, but the first thing that's stressing me out is the remaining schedule. The Red Sox have the A's and the Rays for 6 games, which is potentially a good opportunity here to do something, but they also finished their season against the 2 best AL teams, Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers. 6 games against probable division winners when you are just trying to get into a postseason is very, very scary. On top of that, the Texas Rangers have the Astros tonight, which is either really good potentially for us or potentially not very good. Then the Marlins and Twins, which is definitively not great for the Red Sox, and finish their season against the Cleveland Guardians. So while the Red Sox are playing the 2 best teams in the American League, the Rangers are playing one of the worst, and the Guardians, who are actually right up there with the Texas Rangers. That is unbelievably stressful and makes this next 6 stretch of games just unbelievably important. On top of that, we got to look beyond the schedule, right? Because if we're talking about the Red Sox making the postseason, we got to talk about the Red Sox themselves. At the end of the day, as much as we could sit here and be terrified about the fact that other teams are potentially overtaking the Boston Red Sox, ultimately, what is going to determine whether or not the Red Sox make the postseason this year or not is the Boston Red Sox. And I think more specifically diving into it here, I think what's going to determine whether or not the Red Sox make the postseason is this Red Sox offense. Yes, there are issues with the pitching staff right now, right? I think some of the bullpen arms are incredibly shaky. I think the Red Sox 5th starter in this rotation is incredibly shaky, but it's ultimately going to come down to whether or not the Red Sox offense can show up in these last 12 games or not. I mean, in this series, you hit 240 with a 294 on base percentage and a 400 slug for a 694 OPS, and that is with a 6-run first inning last night as well. Will you're coming back tomorrow or potentially the day after is going to be hopefully a major factor in being able to produce more runs at the plate, but if you go into this final series, or really this final stretch of the season in general, the A's are sneaky, the Tampa Bay Rays always give the Red Sox a hard time, right? These 6 games aren't some sort of cupcake, hey, we're going to win all 6 and secure ourselves a playoff spot by the end of next week kind of thing. This is a legitimate, every single one of these games is going to be a dogfight, and if your offense is showing up against decent pitchers the way it showed up in this series, I'm a little bit nervous, right? It all comes down to the same conversation we've been having for weeks now, and that is that Bregman and Duran need to show up and lead this team, right? And we saw yesterday, specifically in that first inning, what happens when those guys do that, right? Duran sets the tone, Bregman drives him in, and all of a sudden this team's off to the races. That needs to happen more often than not down the stretch. We're starting to see signs of life from both of these guys, but without them, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Red Sox to do this. Now, the pitching, on the other hand, is something I'm pretty not confident in, right? I think, again, you look at it and you say, I don't know what the Red Sox are going to do with that 5-hole. I don't know what the Red Sox are going to do with some of these relievers, but I think overall, if you are saying what's the one thing that's going to get the Red Sox to the playoffs right now, it's going to be that pitching, right? Bayo didn't look very good in this series, but I continue to believe that he's going to be fine down the stretch. Giolito and Crochet, they continue to look good in this series. I do have some confidence in Conley early, maybe not against the Blue Jays or the Tigers, which he's going to have to face one of them most likely, but I do think being that 4th starter, I think he can manage to figure out how to get the Red Sox some wins, and I do have faith that the Red Sox, between Tolley, Harrison, and potentially Chris Murphy, are going to be able to find a way to get 5, 6, 7 innings out of those guys. And as much as there are guys in the bullpen like Matz and Slayton and Zach Kelly, who every time they come in you go, oh boy, here we go, what's going to happen next? You also have guys like Wilson and Weiser who have been solid so far this season, and guys like Whitlock and Chapman, who are probably the best 1-2 punch in the back of a bullpen maybe in the entirety of baseball, right? So you've got so many positives pitching-wise. You got to figure yourself offensively. It's not some new conversation that we've been having, right? The same conversation we've been having every day, basically, since Roman Anthony went down, and it's just going to continue to be more and more in the spotlight as the Red Sox continue to fight for a playoff spot. Look, I think this video is going to be misconstrued a little bit, right? I think people are going to take this as I'm complaining, as I'm being negative to be negative about the Boston Red Sox, but this video wasn't made to say that I don't think the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs, right? In all honesty, if life was on the line here and I had to answer this question, I would say I have faith that the Red Sox still make the postseason, and to be more honest with you, I think even if they get into the postseason as the final wild card spot, I kind of like their chances in a 3-game set in a wild card race with Crochet, Bayo, and Giolito on the mound. I think they could get in and make a sneaky run here, at least past that wild card round. My point in this video is that it is going to be an incredibly stressful last 12 games, right? This entire season has been incredibly stressful if you're a Red Sox fan. They have made nothing easy this year. Even their super high highs, even their super low lows, they've sort of been this sort of stressful, I don't know what's going to happen next baseball team. So it makes all the sense in the world that these last 12 games are going to be just as stressful, right? I don't think anyone in Red Sox Nation thought that they were going to cakewalk themselves, and I think I've said that 3 times this video, regardless, cakewalk themselves into a postseason, right? I think everyone kind of knew, especially after Roman Anthony went down, especially with the way this offense has been really the entire year, that it was going to be a dogfight. And right now, it's going to be the dogfight of all dogfights, right? You've got a 6-game stretch where you could start to make up ground here, and unless win all 6 of these games, and then all of a sudden the Astros, the Rangers, or whoever ends up losing 4 or 5 games in a row, it's going to come down to that Detroit series. It's going to come down to the very last game of the year, and it's ultimately going to be whether or not the Red Sox have the grit, the determination, and the willpower to force themselves into a postseason. Right now, it isn't about talent. We could sit here, we could say the Red Sox aren't talented enough. We could sit there and we could say the Red Sox have lost too much talent for them to get into the postseason, but it doesn't matter. Right, this team could be all AAA players. What's going to matter at the end of the day is whether or not they could put together good at-bats, whether or not they could play as a team, and whether or not they could take advantage of opportunities that get laid out in front of them. And opportunities like playing 2 series against teams with a sub-500 record. Opportunities like playing the Detroit Tigers at home in a ballpark where you have been better than almost anybody else in Major League Baseball for most of the season in your home ballpark, right? Those are opportunities that you have to take advantage of. Those are opportunities that are going to determine whether or not you are in a playoff spot. I don't know, right? I have faith in this Red Sox team. We've ridden this roller coaster ride the entirety of this year. I'm not getting off now. I'm staying on till the very end. I want to see where this thing goes. But if you're sitting here saying I still have 100% confidence the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs, I also think you're fooling yourself a little bit here. You know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and you know, it's kind of how it should be, right? The Red Sox aren't this juggernaut team. The Red Sox have lost too much talent to be this juggernaut team, but that doesn't mean that this team is dead, doesn't mean this team is gone, and it doesn't mean the fight that we have seen throughout the entirety of the year for this Red Sox team is out the window. Regardless, I think last night's win was unbelievably gigantic, and I'm officially stressed about whether or not the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs. But let me know what your thoughts are. What are you thinking right now? Are you stressing about the Red Sox making the postseason? Have you given up? Are you still sitting there saying, nope, they're 100% getting in? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton. It's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.